Samyoga Svarupa Pidit Samyoga Svarupa Pidit Sayadam Sutram Prabhavrite Svasvami Shaktiyo Svasvami Shaktiyo Svarupopala Buddhi Hetuho Svarupopala Buddhi Hetuho Samyogaho Purushoho Svami Drishyena Svena Daishana Eltam Samyuktaho Tasmat Samyoga Drishyasyo Palabtil Tasmat Samyoga Drishyasyo Tasmat Samyoga Drishyasyo Tasmat Samyoga Drishyasyo Palabtilya Sa Pogaho Gyatu Drashtuho Svarupopalabtiho Sopa Vaikaho Daishanakariya Vasanaho Samyoga Iti Daishanam Vyogasya Karanamukutam Daishanama Daishanasya Pratidvam Dvidya Daishanam Samyoga Nimitta Mukutam Natra Daishanam Mukushokaranama Daishana Pabadeva Vanata Pavaho Sa Mokusho Iti Daishanasya Pave Pantakarano Panutakarano Sya Daishanasya Nasha Ityato Daishanam Jinyanam Kaivalyakarano Mukutamu Kim Chedama Daishanam Nama Kim Kuno Namatikara Ahosvi Dri Ahosvid Drishiru Pasya Svamino Daishita Vishoyasya Pratana Chittatasya Tutpada Pratana Chittatasya Nutpadaho Svamino Drishya Svasmino Drishye Vidyamane Yo Daishana Pavaho Kimaitavatata Gunonam Atha Vidya Svachitana Saha Nirudita Svachitatasyotapati Svachityo Svachitatasyotapatati Svachitatasyotapatati Bijama Kim Sthiti Samskara Koshoye Kati Samskara Pibhyakatiho Yatreda Mukutam Prathanam Sthitiaiva Vaitamanam Pikara Karanoda Prathanam Syat Tatha Katyaiva Vaitamanam Pikara Nityatvada Prathanam Syat Upayatha Jasya Pritatiho Prathana Vyavaharam Lapate Nanyatha Karano Nutare Shivapi Karulpita Shivaba Sama Nasachalchaho Daishana Shakutireva Daishana Mitieke Daishana Shakutireva Daishana Shakutireva Daishana Mitieke Pratana Syat Makhyapa Pratana Syat Makhyapa Nailta Prabhrititiho Iti Shruteho Salve Botia Bota Samaltaho Salva Botia Bota Sam Salva Botia Bota Samaltaho Praga Prabhriteho Purusho Na Pashyati Salvakarya Karana Samaltam Trishyam Tada Na Trishyata Iti Upayasya Piyadaishanam Taima Ityeke Tatredam Trishyasya Tma Putamapi Purusho Puratya Pratyaya Pekusham. Number 1. Purusho Pratyayama Pekushyo Purusho Pratyayama Pekushyo Daishanam. Okay. Number 2. Dhyaya. Wait, there's another number 1. Dhyayama Pekushyoda Purusho Pratyaya Pekushyoda Daisha Purusho Dhyayama Pekushyoda Purusho Pratyayama Pekushyo Daishanam. And then there's number 2. Pekushamada Purusho Pratyaya Purusho Pratyaya Pekusho Mada Purusho Pratyaya Pekusho Madaishanam Purusho Pratyaya Pekusho Madaishanam Purusho Pratyaya Pekusho Madaishanam Daishanam Drishya Taimatavena Pavati Tata Purushosya Natma Putamapi Drishya Pratyaya Pekusham. Number 3. Dhyayama Pekushyo Drishya Pratyayama Pekushyo Drishya Pratyayama Pekushyo Drishya Pratyayama Pekushyo. Purusho Taimata Bene Purusho Taimata Bene Ba Daishanamabat Purusho Taimata Bene Ba Purusho Taimata Bene Ba Daishanamaba Pa Purusho Taimata Bene Ba Daishanamaba Pa Sate Purusho Taimata Bene Ba Daishanamaba Pa Sate. Number 4. Benaiva Purusho Taimata Benaiva Daishanamaba Pa Sate Daishanam Jnanameva Daishanamiti Gechida Pida Tati Itiete Sha Sutra Kata Pikaripa Tatara Pikaripa Batu Badun Bafu. Double check. Pikari, okay. Tatra Vikalpa Bahutva Metat Saiva Purushanam. Vikalpa Bahutva Pane. Vikalpa Bahutva Me. Vikalpa Vikalpa Bahutva Metat. Vikalpa Bahutva Met. Vikalpa Bahut. Vikalpa Bahutva Metat Saiva Purushanam. Vikalpa Bahutva Metat Saiva Purushanam. Vikalpa Bahutva Metat Saiva. Vikalpa Bahutva Metat Saiva Purushanam. Gunonam. It's number 5. Gunosam. Gunosamiyoge. Samiyoge. Satarana Vishoyamu. This aphorism begins with the intention of defining the character of the conjunction. Conjunction is the cause of acknowledgement of the character of the powers, both of its own and its Lord. The Purusha, the Lord, is conjoined with his own perceivable for the purpose of perceiving action. The acknowledgement of the perceivable ensuing from that conjunction is experience. Again, that which is the acknowledgement of the character of the perceiver is emancipation. In other words, conjunction has its cessation by the action of observation. So observation is said to be the cause of separation. Observation is opposed to non-observation. So non-observation is said to be the cause of conjunction. Here the observation is not the cause of emancipation. The absence of bondage comes simply from the absence of non-science. That is emancipation. On the ebb of observation, non-science, the cause of bondage, gets destroyed. Hence observation or conscience is said to be the cause of absoluteness. Again, what is indeed this non-observation? Is it the function of the energies, or is it the unproduction of the principal cognition, the Lord who is the external form of perceptivity and to whom all objects are presented, that is, the absence of perceiving action even in the presence of his own perceivable? Is it the purposefulness of the energies, or is it non-science, which is latent along with its own mind, and is the seed for the growth of its own mind? Is it the manifestation of the potency of motion on the exhaustion of the potency of rest? It has been said there, the Pratana, lying only in rest, cannot be the chief factor for not causing any change. Similarly, being only in motion, it cannot be the first in rank on account of the eternity of change. Further, its conduct tending to both these states gets the function of the principal cause, but not otherwise. The same consideration should be applied to other alternative causes which have been set forth. Some say that the observing power itself is non-observation, because the Shrutis assert that the rise of the Pratana is to express itself. So the Purusha, who is able to perceive all perceivables, does not perceive before the manifestation of the Pratana, and the perceivable which is able to accomplish all actions is not perceived at that time. Others say that the non-observation is the characteristic of both of them. In that case, this observation, though the very self of the perceivable, yet depending as it does upon the Purusha's cognition, becomes an essence of the perceivable's characteristic. Similarly, the non-observation, though of the opposite nature of the Purusha, yet depending upon the illumination of the perceivable, appears as an essence of the Purusha's characteristic. Some others explain that observation or knowledge itself is non-observation. So these are the textual options. There, the multiplicity of options is the common subject for the conjunction of all Purushas with the energies. The intent of this sutra is to describe what the correlation itself is. The reason for the apperception of what the power of the property and of what the power of the proprietor are of is correlation. The self as proprietor becomes correlated for the purpose of sight with the object for sight as property. That apperception of the object for sight which results from this correlation is experience, whereas the apperception of what the seer is liberation. Since the correlation lasts until sight is affected, sight is said to be the cause of this correlation. Since sight and non-sight are opposite to each other, non-sight is said to be the instrumental cause of correlation. Sight in this is not the cause of release, but the absence of bondage results from the absence of non-sight. This is release. Where there is sight, non-sight, which is the cause of bondage, ceases. Thus the perception which is sight is said to be the cause of isolation. And what is this so-called non-sight? Is it the authority of the aspects, or is it the case that when, in the primary cause, the mind stuff, by which the objects are shown to the proprietor in his capacity as seer, fails to produce, there is non-sight, although the property, the object for sight, exists? Or is it that the aspects possess the intended objects? Or is undifferentiated consciousness, which together with its own mind stuff has been restricted, the seat for the production of its peculiar mind stuff? Or is it the manifestation of subliminal impressions in motion, after the subliminal impressions in equilibrium have dwindled away? Of which this has been said. The primary cause, if it existed, on the one hand, in equilibrium only, would be a non-primary cause, because it would not cause any evolved effect. Similarly, if on the other hand it exists in motion only, it would be a non-primary cause, because the evolved effects will be permanent. And since it does act in both ways, it is ordinarily termed primary substance, not otherwise. Also with regard to other supposed causes, the same reasoning. According to some, non-sight is nothing but the power by which one sees. As the sacred word says, the primary cause acts with the intent of displaying itself. The self capable of illuminating all illuminable things does not, before the primary cause acts, see. The object for sight capable of making all kinds of effects is not then seen. According to others, non-sight is a property of both kinds also. From this point of view, the sight, although independent of the object for sight, requires a presented idea of the self, and so is a property of the object for sight. Similarly, sight, although not independent of the self, still requires a presented idea in the object for sight, and appears as if it were actually a property of the self. Certain others assert that non-sight is only the perception by sight. These are the alternatives found in the books on this. These many alternatives deal with the common subject matter, the correlation of all the selves with the aspects. Yasutu Pratyako Chatanasya Subhabuddhiti Samyogaho. Okay, make sure the spelling is correct. Subhabuddhiti Samyogaho. Tasya Hetura Vidya Viparya Yajñana Basanetyaltaho. Buddhiti Samyogasya Hetuho. Etasmat Brak Do Pusatake Buddhiti Samyogasya Hetuho Iti Patho Vidyate Sa Pramadikaho. Viparya Yajñana Vasana Vasita Na Karyanishtham Purushakyatim Buddhitiho Prapnoti Satikara Punara Vaitate Satu Purushakyati Vipari Purushakyati Paryabasanam. Number 2. Purusho Niyata Kya Purusho Niyata Kyati Paryabasanam. Purusho Kyati Purusho Niyata Kyati Paryabasanam. Number 3. Sana Purusho Kyati Paryabhasana. Karyat. So there's another version then. Purusho Kya Purusho Niyata Kya Purusho niyata khyati paryabhasana karyanishtam prapnoti cha charita thikara nivritita darshana pantakara no bhavanana punaravartate nivritita darshana panutaka no bhavanana punaravartate atra kashicit panudo kopa kyanenodu tato kato yati ka okay. Atra kashicit panundo kopa kyanenodu kato yati kashicit panundo kopa kyanenodu kato yati mugutaya paryaya pitiyate panundo karya putra apatyabati me pagini kimaltam nama nahamiti sa tamaha muritasate hama patya mutpadayishyamiti muritasate hama patya mutpadayishyamiti tatedam vidyamanam jinyanam Chittani Buddhititim na karoti vinashitam karishyati iti ka pratyasha. Double check. Yep. Okay, one is enough. Tatra charya deshiyo vakati. Okay. It says bhakti. Nanu buddhatini buddhiti buddhatini buddhitirev buddhatini buddhititireva mokusho daishanakara no bhavad buddhatini buddhitiho Takacha daishanam panta banutakaranam daishananani baitate or baitate. Baitate. Daishananani baitate. Tatra chittani buddhitireva mokushoho kimaitamasthana evasya mativi pramaho. Non-science is the cause. It's its cause. Alright, let me just double check here. Non-science is its cause. Non-science is the cause of that, however, which is the conjunction of the inner consciousness with its own intellect. The meaning is that non-science is the residual of perversive cognition. Further, the intellect being possessed of the residual of perversive cognition does not get the termination of its work, that is, the revelation of the Purusha, so it comes back with its duty. On the contrary, when it gets the end of its work terminated by the revelation of the Purusha, then it being freed from its duty and ignorance does not come back on account of the absence of the cause of bondage. Someone clears this position by the story of an impotent husband. The impotent is thus addressed by his stupid wife. My lord, my sister has got a child. Why indeed have I none? He replies to her thus, I shall produce child in you when I am dead. Similarly, this present knowledge cannot bring about the cessation of the mind. What hope is there that this will cause its destruction? An imperfect teacher says on this point, is it not that emancipation is but the cessation of the intellect? Because the cessation of the intellect comes from the absence of its cause known as non-science. Further, this non-science, the cause of bondage, ceases by observation. There, the cessation of the mind alone is emancipation. Why does he get such a mental confusion in an improper place? But when there is a correlation of an individual consciousness with its own thinking substance, the reason for this is undifferentiated consciousness. In other words, it is a subconscious impression from erroneous thinking. The thinking substance pervaded by subconscious impressions from erroneous thinking does not attain to the discernment of the self, which is the goal of its actions, returns again with its task yet unfulfilled. But that which terminates in the discernment of the self attains the goal of its actions, and its task done, and its non-sight repressed, does not, since the cause of its bondage no longer exists, return again. Some person ridicules this with the anecdote of the impotent man. He is told by his simple-minded wife, O impotent ma-wedded lord, my sister has a child. For what reason have not I? He says to her, when I am dead, I will beget thee a son. Similarly, since this thinking, even while existing, does not make a repression of mind stuff, what expectation is there that it will in the future make it cease to be? On this point, one who is almost a master says, is release anything but the cessation of the thinking substance? When there is no cause of non-sight, the thinking substance ceases. And this non-sight, which is the cause of bondage, ceases when there is sight. Then release is nothing but the cessation of the thinking substance. Why then is there this confusion of ideas of his that is so much out of place? Heyam, duhakam, heyakaranam, no, nom. Heyakaranam. Ja, samyoga kiam, samnimitata, samnimitata mukutamahahu, samni, sani, samyoga kiam, sani mitata mukutamatahu, param hanam, bhagadabiyamu, tata pava de samyoga pavo hanam, dadadrisheho, dadadrisheho, okay. Kaivalyamu, Tasya daishanasya pavad buddhati. Tasya daishanasya pavad buddhati purushas. Tasya daishanasya pavad buddhati purushasam. Tasya daishanasya pavad buddhati purushasam pava. Atyanatiko panutano parama ityarthaha etadatanam tadadrisheho kaivalyam purushasya shri bhavaha punarasamyogo gunairityarthaha tuhakakarana nibritatam tuhakakarana nibritatam. Just make sure this is the double T. Yep. Tuhakakarana nibritatam tuhakoparamo hanam. Tada Sivarupa Pratishtaha Purusha Ityak Sivarupa Pratishtaha Purusha iti ukutamu. The avoidable pain and the cause of that avoidable by the name of conjunction have been described together with the sphere of action. Now the complete avoidance is to be described. From its absence comes the absence of conjunction. This is the avoidance, the absoluteness of perceptivity. From the absence of that non-science comes the absence of the conjunction of the intellect with the Purusha. That is, comes the complete cessation of bondage. This is the meaning. It is the avoidance which is the absoluteness of perceptivity, the unmixed state of the Purusha, that is, his state of being not conjoined again with the energies. This is the meaning. The pain which is to be escaped and the cause of pain, the so-called correlation, together with their reasons have been described. Next, the higher escape is to be described. Since this does not exist, there is no correlation. This is the escape, the isolation of the seer. Since this non-sight does not exist, there is no correlation of the thinking substance and of the self. In other words, a complete ending of bondage. This is the escape, the isolation of the seer, the unmixed state of the self. In other words, the state in which he is not again correlated with aspects. Upon the repression of the cause of pain, there follows the ending of pain, the escape. Then the self is said to be grounded in his own self. Ata hanasya kaho praputiyupaya iti vivekakyatira viplava hanopayah sattva purusho niyata pratyayo vivekakyatih sa Devani Buddhita Mitya Jinyana Plavate Yada Mitya Jinyanam Dagatapi Japavam Ban Bantia. There's another one. Bantia prasavam sampadyate tada vitu daklesha rajasaha satavasya separated. Pare Paisharadie Parasyam Pashikara Samjinyayam. Just want to make sure they're not connected. Yeah. Paitamanasya Viveka Pratyaya Prabha Viveka Pratyaya Prabhaho Nimalo Nilmalo Pavati Sa Vivekakya Tira Viplava Hanopayah. This is number 1. Hanasutopa Hanasiopayah Hanasutopanah Hanasiopanah Hanasiopayah. Also looks like a to. Hanasutopanah Tato Mitya Jinyanasya Lagatabi Japavo Pagamah Punashecha Prasava Ityesho Mogushasya Maigo Hanasiopaya iti. On the cessation of the cause of pain comes the absence of pain, and this is termed avoidance. So it has been said that the Purusha becomes self-established at that time. Now, what is the means of achieving non-science? What is the means of achieving avoidance? The intellective revelation, unwavering, is the means of avoidance. The cognition of the distinction between the essence and the Purusha is the intellective revelation. It, however, fluctuates when not free from false knowledge. When false knowledge is caused to attain the state of parched up seed and becomes barren of germination, then the flow of the distinguishing cognition of the essence, of which the dirt of affliction has been fully washed off, and which exists in its highest splendor and in the supreme consciousness of control, becomes pure. This intellective revelation, being unwavering, is the means of the avoidance. Therefrom comes the state of parched up seed to the false knowledge, that is, it becomes unproductive. This is the path of emancipation, or the means of the avoidance. Now, what is the means of attaining escape? The means of attaining escape is unwavering discriminative discernment. Discriminative discernment of the presented idea of the difference between Sattva and the self. But this discernment wavers when erroneous perception is not repressed. When erroneous perception, reduced to the condition of burnt seed, fails to reproduce itself, then the flow of the presented ideas of discrimination belonging to the Sattva, which is cleansed from Rajas, belonging to the hindrances, and which continues in the higher clearness, in the higher consciousness of being master, becomes stainless. This unwavering discriminative discernment is the means of escape. After this, erroneous perception tends to become reduced to the condition of burnt seed, and its failure to reproduce itself is the path to release, the way of approach to escape. Tasya sapadata pranata bhumiho pranata bhumiho prajinya tasyati pratyuditakyateho pratyamunayaho. Pratyamunayaho sapadatati ashudutya varanomala bhagama gachitasya pratyayanadaranudapade sati. Number 2. Sati sapadataiva Sabda prakaraiva prajinya viveki no pavati tadyatha parijinya tam heyam nasya punaha parijinya masati. Double check that spelling. Parijinya masati. Yeah, okay. I'll triple check. Parijinya masati. Kushri no heya hetavo na punareteshwam kushwe tavya masati. Sa kusho tukritam nirotha samatina. Nirotha, where am I? Okay. Nirotha samatina hanamu pavito vivekakyatirupo. Double check that spelling there. Kyatirupo, yeah, triple check. The reason why I read this version is it has everything, the alternatives and everything in there. That's why I read this. But the printing is not the best. Hanopaya iti Eshwo Chatushirtai Karya. Number 1. Karya Vimukatiha. Just double check that. Vimukatiha. Yeah, okay. Prajinyaya Chitta Vimukatisutu Tarayi Chirata Tikara Buddhatiha Guna Girishi Karata To Jiuta Girishikara Tato Jiuta Tato Jiuta. Number 2. Girishikara Tato Jiuta Sukuta Rakuta Rakarita Girishikara Karita Jiuta. And let me just check all the other versions have the same. Girishikaraku Tachiuta. Okay, so this has the alternative version. It's good that I'm reading this one. Okay. Iva Gravano Virabasitana Subakaranoe Pralaya Pimukha Saha Tena Satam Kakuchanati Na Jaishwam Prabilinanam Punarasatiyutpadaha Prayojana Bhavaditi Etasyam Abhasatayam Gunasambanatha Titaha Sivarupamatra Jyotiramalaha Kevali Purusha Iti Etam Sabutavitam Pranatapumi Prajinya Manupashyana Purushaha Kushala Itya Khyayate Pratiprashavepi Jitatasya Mukutaha Kushala Ityeva Bhavati Gunati Tattavaditi. His intellective vision possessed a final ground, is sevenfold. His means of the yogi qualified with the rise of intellective revelation. The spiritual absorbent cognition is sevenfold. When from the absence of the dirt forming a covering of the impurities, other notions of the mind are not produced, the absorbent cognition of the intellect yogi becomes sevenfold only, that is simply of 7 descriptions. These are as follows. The avoidable has been fully understood. Nothing more of it is left to be known. The causes of the avoidable have been destroyed. There is nothing more of them to be destroyed. The avoidance has been seen by the help of the inhibitive spiritual absorption. The means of the avoidance in the form of the intellective revelation has been developed. Thus, this is the fourfold material freedom of the intellective vision. The spiritual freedom is threefold. The intellect has finished its duties. The energies, just like stones detached from the edge of a mountain peak, getting no support and being ready for entering into their own cause, get lost along with the mind. There is no more production of the fully exhausted energies on account of the absence of necessity. In this state, the Purusha goes beyond the relation of the energies and being the only light of his own manifestation becomes pure and absolute. Thus the Purusha, having reflectively seen this sevenfold intellective vision possess the final ground, is said to be skillful. Moreover, he remains in fact free and skillful even in the absence of the mind, because his position is beyond the energies. For him, insight sevenfold and advancing in stages to the highest. The words for him refer to him in whom discernment is re-uprisen. The word sevenfold means that the insight of the discriminating after the removal of the defilements from the covering of impurity, when no other kind of presented idea is generated in the mind stuff, has just 7 forms as follows. The thing to be escaped has been thought out, nor need he think it out again. The reasons for the thing to be escaped have dwindled away, nor need they dwindle away again. The escape is directly perceived by the concentration of restriction. The means of escape in the form of discriminative discernment has been cultivated. So this is a fourfold final release belonging to insight, which may be effected. But the final release of the mind stuff is threefold. The authority of the thinking substance is ended. The aspects, like rocks fallen from the top of the mountain peak without support of their own accord, incline towards dissolution and come with this to rest. And when these are quite dissolved, they do not cause growth again, because there is no impelling cause. In this stage, the self has passed out of relation with the aspects, and enlightened by himself and nothing more, is stainless and isolated. The self, beholding the sevenfold insight advancing in stages to the highest, is denominated fortunate. Even when there is also the inverted generation of the mind stuff, the self is said to be released fortunate, because he has passed beyond the aspects. Siddhata Pavati Vivekakya Tilhanopaya. Number 3. Payahu Vivekakya Tilhanopayahu iti na ja siddhiti ranu dareno siddhiti ranu dareno sadhana mitye tadaram rapyate sadhana mitye tadarapyate sadhana mitye tadarapyate yogang uga nushita na dashudati tikushoye nushita. Pretty sure that's nushita. Just wanna make sure. Yeah, okay. Yogang uga nushita na dashudati tikushoye. Yogang uga nushita na shudati kushoye. Jnanadipatiri vivekakya teho. Yogang uga niyashita. Yogang uga niyashita babita. Yogang uga niyashita babita yishyamanoni. Yogang unga nishita babit. Yogang unga nishita babita yishya. Yogang unga nishita bab. Yogang unga nishita babita yishyamanoni. Deshwa manushita na de pancha paibano. Deshwa. Alright, I just want to do that one again. Yogang unga nishita babita yishyamanoni. Deshwa manushita na de pancha paibano. 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 Vipariya yasya shuddhatiru pasya kushoyo na shaho Tata kushoye samya gajinya nasya pibhyakatiho Yatha cha satana niyanushti tui yanute satana niyanushti yanute Tatha satana niyanushti yanut satana niyanushti yanut satana niyanushti yanute Tatha tanuttvama shuddhatira padiyat tanuttvama shuddhatira padiyate yatha cha kushuyate tatha kushoyakramanurotini jnanasyapi Dipatilvibaltate sa Dipatilvibaltate sa 칼을 베쇼 비브리드 프라카쇼마누 파바티야 비베카키야 테허 아 구나푸루샤스바루파 비지냐나 디티알타허. So I want to make sure this is B. V, yeah. Guna Purusha Svaru Pabijinyana Dityaltaha Yoganga Nushita Na Shudute Viyoga Karanam Yoganga Nushita Nama Shudute Viyoga Yoganga Nushita Na Yoganga Nushita Nama Shudate Viyogakara Nama Yoganga Nushita Nama Shudate Yoganga Nushita Nama Yoganga Nushita Nama Shudate Viyogakaranam Yoganga Nushita Nama Shudate Yoganga Nushita Nama Shudate Viyogakaranam Yatha Parashush Chediyasya Vivekakya Tesutu Prapatikaranam Yatha Taimaho Sukhasya Nanyatha Karanam Kati Chaitani Karanoni Shasatre Pavanati Nabai Betyaha Tadyatha Uttapatati Siti Sthitya Pibhyakati Vikara Pratyaya Patayaho. So I'll make sure that's not what I don't think it is. Yeah, okay. Uttapatati Sthitya Pibhyakati Vikara Pratyaya Patayaho. 비요가니아뜨바 비요가니리뜨바 트리타야흐 까라넘 바나타 나바타 스무리따무 이티 따뜨로트 파트티 까라넘 마노 파바티 number 1 파바티 지냐 so it skips 지냐나시아 비지냐나시아 스티티 까라넘 마나사흐 부르쇼일 타타 샤리라시에바하라 이티 아피비아그티카라넘 야타 루파시아 로카스타타 루파지냐남 비카라카라넘 마나소 비셔야느 따라무 야타그니흐 바기야시아 브라티아야카라넘 두마지냐나마그니지냐나시아 브라브디카라넘 요강응가누실터남 비베카키아테흐 비요가카라넘 따데바슈드테흐 아니아드바카라넘 야타 수발노카라흐 에바메카시아 스트리 브라티아야시아 비디아 무터트베 드베쇼 두허카트베 라가흐 수카트베 따트바지냐남 마티아스티에 트리티카라넘 샤리라미느드리야너무 따니 짜타시아 마하푸다니 샤리라미느드리야너무 따니 짜타시아 마하푸다니 샤리라넘 따니 짜 파라스파람 샤리라넘 따니 짜 파라스파람 살베숑 다이리야그이 야우나마누쇼 다이바타니. Just wanna make sure this is what I think it is. Yeah. 다이리야기야우나 마누쇼 다이바타니. Alright, just wanna check in English what that thing is. Sutra 28. 다리야기야우나 마누쇼 다이바타니 짜 파라스파 라이 타트바 디티에밤 파라스파라 타트바 디티에밤 나바 까라너니 따니 짜 야타 삼파밤 다달타느 다레슈바피 요지야니 요강으가 누실터남 드비타이바 까라너트밤 라파타 이티 요강은가 누실터 요강은가 누실터남 드비타이바 까라너트밤 라파타 이티. It has been established that the intellectual revelation is the means of avoidance. Further, there is no success without a course of procedure. So this is being taken up on the destruction of impurity by the gradual achievement of the component parts of yoga. The light of knowledge goes into the intellectual revelation. The component parts of yoga are 8 and are about to be described. By their gradual achievement, the 5 knot of perversive cognition in the form of impurity gets ruined, that is, gets destroyed. On its destruction, the perfect knowledge is manifested. The more are the means of achievement practiced, the more attenuated gets the impurity. And as it is destroyed more and more, the light of knowledge increases more and more according to the degree of the destruction. This growth indeed reaches its excellence up to the intellectual revelation, that is, up to the practical experience of the real character of the Purusha and the energies. The gradual achievement of the component parts of yoga becomes the cause of separation of the impurity, as the axe is to a thing to be cut off thereby. Again, this is also the cause of the attainment of the intellectual revelation, as virtue is of happiness. In no other way does this become the cause. How many causes are there in the scriptures? There are 9 only, and are as follows: generation, continuance, manifestation, modification, confidence, attainment, separation, differentiation, and support. This 9-fold cause is prescribed by the text. There the mind is the cause of generation of the consciousness. Obedience to the Purusha's interest is the cause of the continuance of the mind, as food is that of the body. The cause of manifestation is as light is of the form, so is the consciousness of the form. The cause of modification is the variation of the mind into different objects, as fire is that of the thing to be cooked. The cause of confidence is as the knowledge of smoke is of the knowledge of fire. The cause of attainment is as the gradual achievement of the component parts of yoga is of the intellectual revelation. The cause of separation is as that is of impurity. The cause of differentiation is as the goldsmith is of gold. Thus, regarding the notion of the same woman, non-science becomes the cause of stupid imagination, aversion becomes the cause of painfulness, attachment becomes the cause of the feeling of pleasure, and the knowledge of reality becomes the cause of neutrality. The cause of support is as the body is of the senses, which in turn are of the body, and the main elements are that of the bodies. Further, they are mutually the support of all the other bodies. Thus, the bodies of the inferior animals, men and gods, are supported by one another on account of the obedience to their mutual interest. Hence, these are the 9 causes. Further, these should be applied also to other objects as far as possible. The gradual achievement of the component parts of yoga, however, becomes a cause in 2 ways only. When discriminative discernment is perfected, there is the means of escape, and there is no perfection without the means. So this is begun. After the aids to yoga have been followed up, when the impurity has dwindled, there is an enlightenment of perception reaching up to the discriminative discernment. The aids to yoga are the 8 which are about to be enumerated. As a result of following them up, there is a dwindling or cessation of the 5-sectioned misconception. Upon the dwindling of this follows the manifestation of focused thinking, and in proportion as the means, so the impurity is reduced to a state of attenuation. And in proportion as it dwindles, the enlightenment of perception also, in accordance with the degree of dwindling, increases. Now this same increase experiences a perfection, reaching up to discriminative discernment, up to the perception which distinguishes between the aspects as such and the self. The following up of the aids to yoga is the cause of discorrelation with impurity, such as an axe which is to be cut. Now are the cause of attaining discriminative discernment, just as right living is to happiness. In other ways, it is not a cause. Furthermore, how many of these causes according to the system are there? Just 9, he says as follows. Causes 9-fold: rise and permanence and manifestation and modification and presentation and attainment and disjunction and transformation and sustentation. Of these, the cause of rise, the central organ of a mental process. The cause of permanence, the fact that the self has purposes of the central organ, just as food of the body. The cause of manifestation, the shining of color, just as the perception of color. The cause of modification, another object of sense, the central organ, just as fire, food to be cooked. The cause of presentation, the thought of smoke, of the thought of fire. The cause of attaining, the following up of the aids to yoga, discriminative discernment. The cause of disjunction, the same, from impurity. The cause of transformation is, for instance, the goldsmith, the gold. Similarly, if a single presented idea of a woman has the quality of infatuation, undifferentiated consciousness. If it has the quality of painfulness, hatred. If it has the quality of pleasurability, passion. If it has the quality of the detached attitude, the recognition of the reality. The cause of sustentation, the body, the sense organs, and the great elements of bodies. And these reciprocally of all, since human and animal and supernormal bodies depend upon each other. So much then for the 9 causes. And these, so far as possible, are also to be applied to other things. But as for the following up of the aids to yoga, it comes into play as cause in 2 ways only. One more. Tatra yogang niya yogang niyabatarianute yogang niyabatarianten yogang niyabatarianute yogang niyabatarianute yamani yama sama yogang niyabata yogang niyabatarianute samani yamani yama samana yamani yama sanapurano yama pratyaharatharano dhyana samatayo shita bangagani yamani yama sanapurano yama pratyaharatharano dhyana samatayo shita bangagani. Oh, we have one more. Let me see. It's really short. Why is this so short? Let me just double check here. That's why. Okay, maybe Yamani yama sana yamani yama sana prano yama pratyaharatharano dhyana samatayo shita bhagagani. Yatha gramame sho manushito nam Sivarupam cha pakushyo maho. It's number 1. Pakushyo maho. Tatra ahimsa satya sateya brahmacharya parigraha. Ahimsa satya sateya brahmacharya parigraha yamaho. Okay. So some yoga texts, they combine, this is 29 and this is 30. They combine that 2 into 1. So I'm just doing both of them just for my sake. There the component parts of yoga are being determined. Restraint, observance, posture, breath control, abstraction, concentration, meditation, and spiritual absorption are the 8 component parts of yoga. We shall describe their gradual achievement and character according to the order of achievement. In this, the aids to yoga are determined. Abstentions and observances, and postures and regulations of the breath, and withdrawal of the senses, and fixed attention and contemplation and concentration are the 8 aids. The following up of these must be performed in succession, and what they are we shall describe. Wait, this is not the one that's combined, but some of them actually combines two sutras into one. Alright, should I do this one? Wow, Vipariyaya, no, this is really long. I've done worse. Okay. Right, I'm discussing to myself whether I should do one more or just call it a day. I did a lot of Bhagavad Gita verses, 43 verses. You get tired after a while after reading so much Sanskrit. It's the hardest language. It doesn't exist anymore. Tatra ahimsa satya sateya brahmacharya parigraha yamaha. Tatra himsa saibata saibada saibaputana manapidrohaho. Uttare cha yamani yamasutanen umu yamani yamasutanumu yamani yamasutanumula sutat siddhati parayaiva paratayaiva yamani yamasutan yamani yamasutanmu yamani yamasutan yamani yamasutanmula siddhati paratayaiva. Alright, I'm gonna quit right now, and I get to this tomorrow. That's my decision. I think so. Yeah. Okay, too much is too much. I'm gonna quit here. Thank you.